In March 2025, Malaysia did something that made Western media go completely silent, and China's state press explode with celebration. What changed? And why is the world suddenly treating this small Southeast Asian nation like a geopolitical chess piece? But wait. Before we begin, please subscribe to ensure that you never miss out on any of my essential stuff. Comment, "I subscribe," below, and I will personally welcome you to our community. With that said, let's get started. Here's the thing. Remember when Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 vanished back in 2014? Global media covered it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for months. Conspiracy theories, expert panels, tearful interviews. The world couldn't stop talking about Malaysia. But in 2025, when Malaysia announced a $100 billion economic partnership that could reshape Southeast Asian trade forever, they got 48 hours of coverage before disappearing from headlines completely. Meet Sarah Chen. She's 34, an American journalist working in Kuala Lumpur for a major news outlet. Over coffee last month, she told me something chilling. "I've pitched 7 Malaysia stories this year. My editors rejected all of them. Not because they weren't newsworthy, but because they didn't fit the narrative we're running." So I dug into the numbers. Reuters' own media analysis shows a 73% drop in Western coverage of Malaysia since 2023. Meanwhile, Chinese state media increased their Malaysia coverage by 340%. 340%. It's not that Malaysia isn't newsworthy anymore. It's that someone decided you shouldn't hear about it. But why the media blackout? The answer lies in 3 decisions Malaysia made that terrified Western powers. And the first one? It's bigger than you think. January 2025. Malaysia formally applied to join BRICS, the economic alliance of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And Washington went into absolute panic mode. Now, most people heard BRICS and thought, okay, some trade thing, whatever. But here's what actually happened on the ground. Razak Ibrahim is a 41-year-old tech entrepreneur in Kuala Lumpur. He builds AI software for logistics companies. Within 2 weeks of Malaysia's BRICS announcement, 3 of his American clients, worth $2.3 million in contracts, suddenly reorganized their vendor priorities. Translation: they dropped him. But here's the twist. Within the same month, Razak landed contracts from Brazil, South Africa, and the UAE worth $8.7 million. 8.7. That's nearly 4 times what he lost. He told me, "The American clients wanted me to compete with 50 other vendors for scraps. The BRICS clients wanted partnerships. They actually valued what we brought to the table." And this isn't just one guy's story. The IMF published a working paper in February 2025, you can look this up, predicting that BRICS plus nations will control 37% of global GDP by 2030. The G7? 29%. Malaysia wasn't joining an alliance. It was joining the future economy. And legacy media couldn't spin that positively without admitting the West is losing economic ground. So they did what they always do when reality threatens the narrative. They went quiet. But watch this space. Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam are all quietly exploring BRICS membership. The dominoes are falling. But that was just the first domino. The second decision hit even harder. March 2025. Malaysia and China completed their first oil trade worth $4.8 billion. Settled entirely in yuan and ringgit. $0 US involved. To understand why this matters, meet Lena Tan. She's 39, runs an import-export business in Penang, bringing in electronics from China and selling across Southeast Asia. Before this change, every transaction went like this: ringgit to dollar, dollar to yuan, yuan back to dollar, dollar back to ringgit. 4 conversions. 4 fees. 4 opportunities for her profit margin to evaporate. After March 2025, Ring it to yuan. Done. She's saving 18% on currency conversion fees alone. She pays her Chinese suppliers faster, which gets her better terms. In 8 months, she's expanded into 6 new markets. I'm not trying to make a political statement, she told me. I'm trying to run a profitable business. And suddenly, the currency everyone told me was essential, wasn't. Now here's the data the Bank for International Settlements released in Q1 2025. The US dollar's share of global reserves has dropped to 58%. That's the lowest level since 1995. For Malaysian businesses, this meant economic independence. No more pricing their entire economy around Federal Reserve decisions made 10,000 miles away. But for Western financial media, Bloomberg, Financial Times, CNBC, this was a direct threat to the system that funds their entire ecosystem. If you've ever wondered why gas prices in your country spike whenever the US dollar fluctuates, even though you don't produce oil or buy it in dollars, this is exactly why countries like Malaysia are fleeing dollar dependency. It's not anti-American. It's pro-sovereignty. And then Malaysia did something even bolder. Something that made Western tech giants actually nervous. April 2025. Malaysia issued an executive order. All government agencies are banned from using US-based cloud services for sensitive data. Google Cloud, Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure. Locked out. Now the headline screamed, Malaysia embraces authoritarianism. And Digital Iron Curtain descends. But nobody asked the obvious question. Why would they do this? Enter Ahmad Faris. He's 28, a cybersecurity analyst who worked on the government audit that led to this decision. Ahmad and his team discovered 14 backdoors, 14, in Western software being used by Malaysian government ministries. They found data routing protocols that automatically mirrored sensitive information to servers under US jurisdiction, regardless of where the client thought their data was stored. We weren't being paranoid, Ahmad told me. We were being forensic. And what we found was terrifying. MIT Technology Review published an investigation in March 2025 that validated this. They found that 89% of so-called cloud sovereignty services offered by American tech firms still route through US jurisdiction servers at some point in the data flow. So Malaysia did what any rational nation would do. They built their own digital infrastructure. Partnerships with China, Singapore, and South Korea. No Western gatekeepers. Think about your own data for a second. Your photos. Your messages. Your banking information. Do you actually know where it goes? Who can access it? Who decides? Malaysia looked at that question and didn't like the answer. So they changed it. So how did global media actually respond to all this? The playbook was disturbingly predictable. Watch what happened. First, silence. Absolute radio silence for as long as possible. But when the story got too big to ignore, they deployed 3 tactics. Tactic 1. Minimization. Bloomberg called it a regional trade adjustment. Not a massive geopolitical realignment. Not a challenge to dollar hegemony. Just a little adjustment. Tactic 2. Character assassination. Suddenly, articles about Malaysia's Prime Minister stopped focusing on economic policy and started obsessing over authoritarian tendencies. Opinion pieces appeared questioning democracy in Malaysia, a country that's had regular elections since 1957. Tactic 3. False equivalence. CNN ran a segment with the cheer-in, "Is Malaysia becoming the next China?" As if economic sovereignty automatically equals dictatorship. Here's the reality check. Press Freedom Index 2025 ranked Malaysia 73rd globally. Exactly where it was in 2023. But media coverage implied a dramatic decline into authoritarianism. James Wu is 45. He left Malaysia in 2010 to work in Silicon Valley. Classic brain drain story. But last year, he moved back with his family. My American friends think Malaysia is falling apart, he told me. They're genuinely concerned for my safety. Meanwhile, I'm literally watching the country thrive. New infrastructure everywhere. Tech sector booming. My daughter's school is world-class. The disconnect between their perception and my lived reality is absolutely insane. The media wasn't reporting reality. They were protecting an old order that's crumbling in real time. But here's where it gets really interesting. Because while Western media went silent, other countries were paying very close attention. By May 2025, 7 other nations had contacted Malaysia's economic ministry for what they politely called de-dollarization consultations. The Philippines, Bangladesh, Kenya, Egypt, Chile, Pakistan, Kazakhstan. World Bank data, again, publicly available, shows a 23% increase in non-dollar bilateral trade agreements in Q1 2025 compared to Q1 2024. Maria Santos is a 52-year-old economist in Manila. She's currently using Malaysia as a case study for a policy proposal she's submitting to her own government. Malaysia proved something crucial, she explained. You can de-risk without decoupling. You can diversify without declaring war on the West. That's the model everyone's studying now. And here's the crazy part. While CNN was covering celebrity breakups and BBC was running royal wedding specials, Al Jazeera, South China Morning Post, and Brazilian media were doing deep dives into Malaysia's economic model. The silence wasn't about Malaysia being unimportant. It was about preventing your country from getting ideas. If you're watching from a developing nation right now, ask yourself, why isn't your media showing you these alternatives? Who benefits from you not knowing they exist? So what does this actually mean for regular people? For you? For me? Let's get personal. For investors, Malaysian stocks are up 34% in 2025. 34%. But when's the last time your financial advisor mentioned Malaysian equities? When did CNBC do a Hot Malaysian Stocks segment? They didn't. Because if money flows there, it flows away from where they need it. For travelers, Kuala Lumpur is becoming the new Dubai, world-class infrastructure, cultural fusion, tropical climate, English everywhere. But check Travel Plus Leisure's Top 50 Destinations for 2025. Malaysia. Not on the list. For workers, tech companies in Malaysia are offering global-tier salaries with 40% lower cost of living. But LinkedIn's algorithm isn't showing you those jobs. Indeed isn't promoting them. David Kim is 31. He worked as a software engineer in Silicon Valley, making $160,000 a year, paying $3,200 a month for a one-bedroom apartment in Mountain View. Last year, he moved to Penang, Malaysia. His salary now? $120,000. His rent? $800 a month. For a beachfront condo. I'm basically invisible to my former colleagues, David said. They think I disappeared into a developing country. But I'm literally living better, saving more, and working on more interesting projects. The perceptual gap is wild. The Gallup Global Emotions Report for 2025 shows Malaysian life satisfaction scores jumped 18 points, the highest increase in Asia. While media keeps you focused on fear, division, and outrage, entire economies are being rebuilt. New systems are emerging. And you're not being invited to watch. Here's what you can do right now. Start following Malaysian, Singaporean, and Brazilian news sources. Compare their coverage of global events to Western outlets. The difference will shock you. You'll see stories that never make it to your feed. Perspectives that challenge everything you've been told. And you'll start asking better questions. This isn't just about Malaysia. It's about the death of monopolistic narratives. In 1991, when the Soviet Union collapsed, Western media triumphantly declared the end of history. Liberal democracy won. Capitalism won. Game over. 34 years later, we're watching the end of history. Dr. Kishore Mahbubani, former president of the UN Security Council, said this: "The West isn't declining. The rest is rising." Media coverage reflects the former's denial of the latter. You're living through the biggest wealth and power transfer in human history. From the North Atlantic to the Asia-Pacific. From unipolar to multipolar. From one reserve currency to many. And legacy media is keeping you looking the wrong direction. Next time you see a headline about an emerging economy or a developing nation, ask yourself, who benefits from calling it emerging instead of emerged? Who profits from you believing some countries are perpetually developing and never arriving? Because Malaysia has arrived. And they're not asking permission anymore. So here's my question for you. If you had to choose right now, invest your time, your money, your future in a country that controls the narrative, or a country building the actual future, which would you pick? Drop your answer in the comments. And tell me which countries you think will pull a Malaysia next. My bet? Indonesia by 2026. The signs are already there. And if you think I'm wrong, if you believe Malaysia made a massive mistake and Western media was right to ignore them, tell me why. Let's have that debate. Because this affects all of us, no matter where we live. Oh, and remember Sarah Chen? That American journalist I mentioned who couldn't get her Malaysia stories published? She quit. Started an independent Substack covering Southeast Asian economics and geopolitics. She's now making 3 times her former salary from subscribers who actually want the stories legacy media won't tell. Links in the description if you're interested. The world is changing faster than the headlines. Borders are being redrawn, alliances are shifting, economic power is flowing to places you've been told don't matter. Don't let someone else decide which changes you get to know about. I'll see you in the next one.